Fran Bow is a psychedelic point-and-click game developed by the independent studio Kill Monday Games. The game can not only scare the player, but also make them laugh or cry. And with its narrative and intricacy, it will leave many questions. Before I begin to explain the plot of the game, I want to immediately exclude one of the options for events. After passing, absolutely everyone thinks about whether all this really happened or is it a figment of the imagination of little Fran. And in fact, the option that Fran is sick could be very beautiful, since there are many hints of this in the game. Even Chapter 3, where Fran in Ivest, could be a hint that she was again in the hospital. And the title of the chapter, Vegetative State, could describe her at that moment. However, all these theories collapsed after the release of the second game from the developers, called Little Misfortune. But back to the Fran Bow plot. The action of the game starts in the Oswald Psychiatric Clinic, one of the patients of which is the main character. The girl got there after the death of her parents. A cursory glance at this hospital is enough to understand that things are going worse than ever. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. After Fran got a jar of red pills called duotin, she opened up a different, even more terrible picture. She began to see monsters. The already familiar premises of the clinic were transformed, as if reflecting all the hopelessness and neglect of this accursed place. In such an environment, Fran decides to escape in order to reunite with what is left of her family, a cat named Mr. Midnight and Aunt Grace. I must say right away that it was extremely difficult to understand the plot of this work. The main problem is that the story is told from the point of view of the main character. However, this story was worth the effort. For comparison, I spent 5 hours on the first playthrough, and 20 hours on the second. But back to Fran's story. What happened to her and her family? It all starts with the same Dr. Oswald, who is behind everything. He studied twins and wanted to study realities with their help. He experimented on Lucia and Grace. And perhaps these experiments gave some success. As a result, Lucia became pregnant and the doctor realized that Fran would be a special girl and she would be an important key in his research. But Lucia did not want to give them her daughter, and obviously they could not just take her away. Then Oswald asked Remor to help him. It is not entirely clear why Remor cooperates with him, but it is possible that the murder of Fran's parents will cause her suffering, and Remor feeds on them. He ended up manipulating Fran to kill her parents. And then they staged it as if Fran had also died and took her to their hospital. But Dr. Oswald did not immediately conduct experiments on her. Apparently it was important for Fran to be able to see ultra-reality, so they swapped out regular duotin to increase the amount of ectoplasmatin in the pills. But of course, Dr. Dern prevented them here, who forbade them to give her these drugs. However, Fran was able to escape from the hospital, and Itwood helped her in this. We don't know Itwood's exact intentions, but he only wants the best for Fran, and maybe he knows she's special. Mabuka also speaks about her features, and the fact that Fran is the keeper of the key. So perhaps this was the reason that Itwood decided to save her. But he is also a kind character in his own right, as he tried to help Clara and Mia. With them, the situation is much more complicated. What happened to Clara and Mia? Dr. Oswald also performed experiments on them, and we could see them on the lower floor of the clinic. However, their stories have several possible options and most likely realities are involved here. If you pay attention to the photo, we see very small Clara and Mia, which means that even in childhood they fell into the hands of Dr. Oswald. And according to Dr. Dern, he sewed them together to test the DNA reaction, but after a few months they died and were thrown into the well. But being in their house, we seem to see completely different Mia and Clara. In one portrait, they are already old. In a stroller there are very small twins already stitched together. In the mirror we see their skeletons not stitched together. In addition, we see them as ghosts. And from chapter 4 we learn that they actually killed each other. It seems to me that there are several variants of twins in different realities. Some died from the doctor's experiments, some killed each other, others could have died of old age. Chapter 5 hints at a similar outcome, in which Fran sees herself from another reality. In addition, during the game, Fran saw her corpse more than once, so it is possible that other Fran from other realities could die. I also want to draw attention to duotin and ultra reality. In Chapter 2, Fran sees Clara and Mia's house without taking the pills, but it's actually just a well. Due to taking a huge amount of duotin, her ecloplomatin levels increased and therefore she began to see ultra reality without pills. And after taking them, the main property of the pills worked, and therefore she saw the usual third reality. So those portraits and that Clara and Mia were fragments from all realities. In the third reality, where Fran lives, the girls were indeed killed by the doctor and their corpses were in the well. And that's where we end with Fran Bow. I really hope we haven't missed anything. And they were able to explain Fran's story to you. We invite you to watch our next video and be sure to subscribe to the RTV Gaming channel so as not to miss new videos.